So we have this picture of the man in the Bible as the leader, the one who was created first, the one who has to take the lead, and the one who is responsible for what is happening in the world.
A man is a Y chromosome. He was chosen by biology to be the one to take command and take control and solve the problem.
I think when a society suffers from strict codes of masculinity, different things can happen. There could be humorous results, there could be uncomfortable moments, or there can be very fatal consequences.
I feel like gender is often found in energy that we have. You know, we have feminine energy, we have masculine energy, and, you know, regardless if you're a man or a woman, you still have both. You might just have more or less of one or the other.
A man has to be physically strong.
In 5 words or less. I said a man is a misunderstood being.
I think the modern man has to really find within themselves a true definition of manhood.
What do you think men fear?
Being perceived as unmanly.
When I was young, I was terrified of the water. My fears seemed to know no limits, especially when it came to my father. My father, who seemed to fear nothing except having a sissy for a son.
You make them afraid by creating an aura of endless threat, endless threat, endless threat.
Story of a little boy when he was 5 years old. This was like in 1970, in the 70s. His family had noticed what they perceived to be excessive effeminate behavior.
Things that are believed seem to be okay if they're done by boys. Like girls are too fragile, maybe she'll fall. Yeah, but the same thing could happen to a boy, of course, and then the boy would come out crying and then say, "You're a man, don't cry." Yeah, you know. Yeah. So I think it really toughens them up.
저는 남자인데
어떤 영향이 있었는지.
일단은 중요한 거는 저는 체격이 되게 왜소해요. 남성적이지 못해요 일단.
I think men are much simpler, far more like females than we give them credit. I think the image that the man has to kind of be the macho breadwinner who's up there and very tough and never cries is just it's false.
And what makes you cry?
Many things. Some people get angry or frustrated or impatient or whatnot, but if I have a negative emotion to exude, it's usually tears. I cry.
뭐 성격은 뭐 적당한 것 같은데 거기서부터 굉장히 괴롭거든요.
But largely, what I see is that it does limit the freedom and the happiness and the enjoyment of so many men when they have to follow these codes of masculinity.
What makes a man is finding out who he is and being true to that. That's what I would say.
You know, men just have it easier. They do. I mean, since I've been transitioning into what is more of a man, I mean, I can just tell people treat me differently.
Well, I think it's a tremendous privilege to be a man.
Sometimes women expect men to be like that, everything.
If we have to compare the roles of men and women, traditionally, you know, men were seen as the breadwinners of the family. Nowadays, things have changed.
I think there's just a lot more confusion these days. As the roles become less defined, I think you have women trying to do a man's job, and I think you have men not understanding that it's their job to do what they have to do. And that's where the confusion comes in, and it's not necessary.
Nowadays, you find women with their own careers, with their own jobs, their own apartments. So now, if a man still holds on to those traditional views, they tend to be unstable and very threatened.
반대로 뭐 약간 서양인들은 처음엔 좀 이렇게 세 보이다가 점점 이렇게 좀 친해지면 유해지고 이런 스타일이더라고요. 근데 어쨌든 보통 그런 선에서 한 발자국 더 넘어가는 영역 싸움을 하더라고요. 그게 지금 되게 불편해요, 남자끼리.
You're a man, you've got to do what a man is supposed to do in that situation. So act like a man, okay?
They work all day and then they go on drinking at night.
Yeah, boys don't cry.
Really?
Yeah,
Why?
so just drinking. Drinking soju.
I trust females more than I trust men.
In the end, I think I don't necessarily trust them as much as I could.
Most men do not like most other men. Most women do not like most men.
Good. And how do you think men love?
Definitely very different from what we do.
They pretend to love, but they just think sex.
How does a man love?
It depends on the man. Yeah, sorry, it depends. Some from a distance that you could hardly feel it, and in ways that you wouldn't recognize, and some with everything they have.
I kind of built my own like small universe, and then in the center of it, and there's this guy, and then the whole thing just spins around it. But for men, it doesn't seem like it. You know, for them there are many other important things, and the relationship and girlfriend is part of those things. So sometimes I have problems with that.
My view is men are much softer than we think they are. I think society holds them up, expects them to be far greater than they're capable of being at times, I think.
To be a man, for me, on a daily basis, means to be sane and to act responsibly. All right, so I've got my schedule, and I have to go out there and do what I have to do, and try to accommodate people on all sides, try to satisfy my own desires and my own objectives. So it means to walk a tightrope many times.
It's a lot easier.
What kind of fucking question is that, dude? That's like the fucking stupidest question I've ever heard.
Man, which man? Who's the man? When's a man a man? What makes a man a man? Am I a man? Yes, technically I am.
5 words or less. A man is somebody who has balls.
The roles are different as a man, as a woman. So.
They have to understand at a very young age that the world expects them to be good leaders, and that the world expects them to take charge and make the hard decisions. And that means they have to learn very early that they have to walk their talk.
From the upbringing, like, you are a man, be tough. Yeah. So, because that's what has been implanted from a very tender age, it's still with them that they can't just cry, even when they feel like they should cry.
단점이라면은 제가 지금은 안 그렇지만은 원래는 어렸을 때부터 굉장히 감수성이 풍부해서 굉장히 울보였거든요. 항상 들었던 가장 싫었단 말이 남자가 왜 이런 거였어요. 그리고 군대에서도 남자니까 해야지 이런 거. 저는 마음속 깊은 곳에서부터 거부감이 일어나는 그런 거.
Clearly, the Bible depicts the man as the senior partner, and that the man is the head of the home, the head of the family, and it actually calls the woman the weaker partner.
A man is the leader of the tribe.
It's almost comical in some cases where they have this whole image of being the sort of respect me for who I am because of my status, and they're almost like actors on a stage playing a part.
그리고 남자들이 여자들도 그렇겠지만 많이 참고 살아요, 남자들이.
You've got an image and this image you have to project out to everyone else, and that's their position in society.
How do you tell a man to get stronger? How do a man tell a man to man up? You know, I mean, it's not that easy.
I learned to pass, as it were. I learned to perform the role as a soldier, as a sailor, and do it well enough. And but often what that meant is that I had to participate in a lot of rituals or kind of participate in the discourse of sexism and homophobia, because part of that meant going with your shipmates to a strip club and sexually objectifying women along with the rest of the normal men on our ship, our submarine. And so it taught me a lot about this performance of masculinity.
Do you think that they are emotional, that they're sensitive?
And if they are, they hide it very well. They are supposed to be because they're human beings, but they kind of try to look so not emotional. Yeah.
I don't think it helps to show your weakness. I don't think it helps to show too much sentimentality.
어떤 경우에 자기가 어려운 문제, 사소한 거, 사람은 사소한 거에서부터 시작이 되는데 그때 하루하루의 감정들을 다 풀어내지 않고 오늘의 어떤 어려움을 가지고 그냥 잠을 자게 돼요. 그러면 어떤 문제가 해결이 안 된 것을 가슴에 간직했다가 하루 자고 다음날 또 일을 하면서 그게 누적이 돼가지고 쌓인 다음에 그것들이 이제 마음 안에서
Society dictates a man is strong, he is, I don't know, brutish.
I would say strong, I would say good looking, I would say charismatic, and financially stable. Financially stable, but also willing to spend more money, but also just a little bit of a rebel. I would say those are kind of the main stereotypes in the media.
Man, it's usually like meat.
What does a man eat? Meat. Meat. Yes. Dead animals.
Vegetarian or not, man. A man needs meat. A man has to eat meat.
Having been a vegetarian for 35 years and having practiced hatha yoga for more than 30 years, not drinking and not smoking, those sorts of activities sort of preclude involvement with going out anywhere.
What does a man drink? I'd have to say, stereotypically speaking, ice cold beer or liquor on the rocks.
I think men drink soju. Yeah.
What does a man wear?
Jeans. Flannel. T-shirt. Plaid.
In America, I'm changing, but in America we didn't wear pink, and well, there's many things. Actually, my part of America, we didn't wear scarves actually, or carry umbrellas.
How do you think a man walks?
Man walks? Yeah. Men walk with rhythm.
Say a man who's confident and feels good about himself usually walks with his chin up and his chest out, shoulders back.
Myself, when I walk, I'm like, it's good to be able to walk and not worry about shit. To relax? Yeah. Sleeping maybe. Sports? Yeah. Sports? Yeah. Workout, everything. You're playing sports. A man relaxes by not thinking about anything.
What does a man think about all day?
All day? Sex, food, sleep, sex, food.
Number one, probably sex. Number two would be food. And number three would probably be sleep.
Women, cars and money.
I usually think about women, woman and money. Yeah, that's it.
Sex, money, food, sex. Sex?
Sex, money, sex. 5 words.
5 words exactly. I will not answer that.
Why?
Obviously.
Sometimes men then really act like pigs or a-holes. I'm sorry to say that.
Some men are kind of the tough macho guys, but some men are just like, they're artists, they're soft, they like music, they like women, they like doing children, they like doing nice things.
In a family, the man is the one who makes money, he rules the household, and he is the enforcer.
Man is the man, That's the way I think.
A man doesn't back down.
I think men are having to be something, an image that they have to live up to, and it's not really what they are. I think subsequently they become angry.
I think one thing that really threatens men is pride, because men take pride in being the stable force in society and family. So anything that threatens it, and in terms of pride, then that becomes very problematic.
So I think that's one thing that really threatens all men is the fear of being exposed as a failure.
I think men have got to learn, A, that they are violent creatures, and B, they must be responsible for that violence.
What makes a man violent?
Oh, well, that's rage, and that comes from a lot of different places. Jealousy, insecurity, helplessness, because we all want to have this feeling of control of our environment. I think for a lot of men, when they aren't in control of their environment, that's when they turn to rage.
Betrayal, in many ways, can make a man violent.
Violent men are men that are threatened. They're not stable.
Brothers were walking out of a bar around 3:30 a.m. in the morning, and they were walking arm in arm, and this was misinterpreted as a sign of queerness, and so a few men jumped out of an SUV and attacked these two men because they were violating this code of masculinity that men just don't hold hands or walk arm in arm. However, they come from a country where that's perfectly acceptable, like in Korea.
To be honest with you, I really don't think about gay people. It's just nothing that I'm interested in thinking about.
It's just natural. It's what comes natural, when a straight man sees a female, they're attracted to that female, When I see a female, if she's attractive, I'm attracted to her. I mean, it's what sexual orientation is, just what happens naturally.
It used to be something I didn't want to think about, just quite honestly. I was just like, I wasn't hateful about it. I just really preferred to not think about it, and quite honestly, I preferred to not see it.
I first realized I liked girls when I was probably about 6 years old, and that never changed. And I came from a very, very strict, conservative Baptist family. We didn't even talk about gays. I didn't even know that existed. So it's not like that was put in around me where I could choose. I had no idea, but I just knew that I was different.
I may be 100% wrong, but I think it's got something to do with the way they've been brought up also.
I am a firm believer that homosexuality is genetic.
You can't control it. You can't change it through prayer or, religion. I mean, you can suppress it, I guess. People will do that out of fear, but no, being gay is natural.
It's society that really has the disorder, failing to allow for different expressions of gender.
You're forced into the closet. You don't want to be out. You risk your life.
I just don't believe that somebody would set themselves up for a life of persecution, of constant hiding, of conflict, just to be cool.
I faced some very, very harsh discrimination there. I was threatened to lose my scholarship. I was dragged out of straight bars and, threatened to be raped and shown how to be a woman. And
They're truly afraid of the gay threat.
What if you were afraid your child was gay?
Gay child.
What if you found out that your son were gay?
Wouldn't happen.
Why?
Just wouldn't happen.
So many conservatives have gay and lesbian children, accept them in their couples, their partners, and but publicly they have to put on a different face, and so much of it is about power at that level. But it does speak to how many how many other Americans really do feel this strongly against queer communities.
I think it comes down to religion and just maybe people who have issues with themselves.
The U.S., which is a pretty conservative place, is, going through these birth pains for civil rights for gay and lesbian couples, or people.
And last 5 years, I'm just much more open. I just realize that everyone's got enough struggles in life if they're perceived as normal. And what the heck am I doing adding any type of perception or expectation on other people?
Generally speaking, things are changing. People are progressing.
Sort of a painful and awkward time, but I think it's, we're going to get past it.
Sexual minorities that are marginalized, who are most vulnerable to these kinds of attacks, are not the only ones invested in challenging traditional gender norms, but that we all are invested in at least expanding what can fit into the category of accepted male behavior.
Yeah, I definitely think the media in many, many forms does help solidify our stereotypes as well as add to some.
The movies and the TV shows make all the bad boys seem very attractive. And they're also very handsome and hot.
Outspoken, usually got some muscles on you. Somewhat smart, but maybe hide it a little bit, but more street smart than book smart for sure.
How does the media portray good boys in your view?
Sometimes they seem like losers and they're not very attractive. I don't know why.
Men are portrayed as trying to be men and being ridiculed for being men. That's how I see them being portrayed in the media nowadays.
If you have 30 seconds, you do what works, and if leaning on a stereotype helps you sell more advertising and helps you get through the month, that's usually what you do.
It's like a hurricane. It happens in Florida. It gets into everything. Love, it's like a monster truck. Fills up whole stadiums, but it crushes smaller trucks. Love, it's like a mama said. It may be small and cute, but sometimes it eats its young. Love, it's like a trailer park, ugly but functional. The rent is cheap enough. Love, it's like a newborn child. Seems interesting when it's young, gets pedestrian after a while. And love, it's like a hurricane. It happens in Florida. It destroys everything.
I guess the main issue for me in this area is kind of whether you think there are differences, because that's the kind of between men and women. 'Cause I think that's in terms of gender politics, it's a big question, and my own view is that yes, there are very big differences between men and women.
The ability is like women take care of home and children also. So for example, I cannot do that things.
I suppose men create most of the good in the world, and sadly a lot of what is bad in the world.
So that's not to say that there aren't men who are very different from the typical man.
To me, a real man is somebody who's not afraid of his masculinity, but at the same time doesn't mind crossing the line a little bit and doing things that women are traditionally supposed to do. Things like cooking and dancing and singing and taking pride in their appearance. Those things we associate with females. That when a man does that, to me, that makes a real man.
I just like the fact that there's many different paths to manliness, but at the same time there's many different types of manliness.
The human beings have
the inside, the male and female, the characters. So that's why I think it's not different really. As men and women.
나도 편안해야 되고 나의 패밀리도 편해야 되고 내 주변 다 편해야 되니까 사람들이. 그래서 나 같은 경우는 그 지론이랄까 인생관이 그래 좀 덕을 쌓고 약간은 손해 보면서 살자. 그 마음이 편해 그렇게 사는 게.
So I guess if I could say if there's anything that I've taken from my father about what it means to be a man, it would be that, to be a dependable source of peace.
So as a man, I feel generally very misunderstood. People make assumptions about what it's like to be a man. Feminists seem to think it's really easy to be a man, but I don't really agree with that, respectfully.
I think they'd cry much easier if they were allowed to.
What you have is a man refusing to cry because it's not manly, and then what you have are women who don't like to see that because it's not manly. So because of that, then men just don't cry. No one is saying it's okay.
When does a man cry?
Maybe when you get kicked in the balls. I haven't cried this century.
When he's alone? Yeah.
We cry when the words don't work, when the violence doesn't work, when the physical release doesn't work. Then out come the tears. It's almost like a last resort. I think for men, it's much more a last resort than it is for women, because women cry more easily. But I think the same things that make women cry are the same things that make men cry.
I cry when I'm frustrated. I don't get mad.
When he's injured by the pain or the loss or the injury of those close to him, his family and friends, that would make me cry.
And so when you apply strict codes of masculinity that prevent men from expressing these kind of inconsistencies with each other, I think it has a very damaging effect to the individual. And at least it limits their freedoms, but it also may even limit their enjoyment overall.
As a male, it means take a responsibility for my life, and I think also the well-being of the people around me.
So men are indispensable.
Indispensable.
Yes.
Oh, nice word. Nice word.
Why? Because I can't live without them.
남자와 여자가 서로 이렇게 상반된 존재들이 조화롭게 하나가 됐을 때 정말 멋진 어떤 인류가 될 수 있지 않을까 이런 생각을 해요.
Somebody who really cares. What I mean is someone who knows how to listen, or like really listen, not just hear what you're saying. Someone who knows how to listen, and someone who can be there when you need them. Yeah, that's what makes a man for me. Yeah, and of course he has to be a little cuddly.
As long as all men are doing whatever they can to do the best that they can to make their world a better place, make themselves a better place, and their small circle better, that's what I think is what's needed of men.
What makes a man a man?
5 words or less. Not afraid to be human.
Everyone's different. All men are different, right? I know you cry a lot. I don't know.
Yeah, I do. Actually, probably more than my wife.
Yeah. Everybody's different.
Maybe, if you look real hard, if you dig deep beyond the layers of do's and don'ts, you'll find a person, a very real human being, hiding waiting, silent, maybe difficult to see, but they are all the same. When, if ever, does he reveal himself? And how much still remains? Maybe everything. Maybe we'll never know if we don't take the time to look.
Love, it's like a hurricane. It happens in Florida. It gets into everything.
Love, it's like a monster truck. Fills up whole stadiums, but it crushes smaller trucks.
Love, it's like a marmoset. It may seem small and cute, but sometimes it eats its young.
Love, it's like a trailer park. It's ugly but functional. The rent is cheap enough. Love, it's like an interstate. It gets you from place to place, but it's littered with dead raccoons.
Love, it's like a newborn child. Seems interesting when it's young, gets pedestrian after a while. Love, it's like a hurricane. It happens in Florida, and it destroys everything. Love, it's like a hurricane. It happens in Florida. It destroys everything.
Okay.
Oh yeah, sure, because he will be pregnant for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't know that.
Did it seem to make a difference?
Yeah.